Welcome back to another episode of 5 Minutes With, and I'm your host, Alex Alexander with Client Focused Media. Today, I'm really excited to bring Natanya Brooks from Brooks Injury Law. They're based out of Atlanta, and they've brought over $21 million recovered for clients there. You can find them online at wecarelaw.com. Welcome, Natanya. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, Alex.
Well, we appreciate you being here. Once again, you and I, we spoke a little bit before we came on camera, and I told you to Google yourself and show you some of the videos you have. And one of them is one that you just posted on your YouTube. Please talk to us about this.
Yes. So a couple weeks ago, I went out to Montana and I went to trucking school. So I learned how to drive an 18-wheeler, and I learned all about safety, mechanics, the trailer, how to strap down loads, how to chain down loads. We did a lot of starting and stopping tests. I actually drove the tractor trailer on highway speeds out on a track. I learned how to back it up. I learned how to go around obstacles. And we even went out at night and we did a conspicuity test. It was really cool.
So as some people may not know, you guys are personal injury lawyers, right? Brooks Personal Injury, or Brooks Injury Law. So what sparked you to try this?
I have a case that's going to trial. It's not a 18-wheeler case, but it's a truck crane. So it's even heavier than an 18-wheeler actually. But I just wanted to get a different perspective on the case. And then the trucking cases that I do have, I wanted to learn more, and I wanted to learn more about the requirements and just what it's like to be a driver and what the expectations are. And you can't do that better than actually stepping into someone else's shoes and doing what they do every day and learning about it that way.
Was there one takeaway over any others that you would come out as for you personally? Was there something you recognized or realized, or something that you took back with you from this experience?
For sure. I mean, most drivers are paid by the mile. So when they have to strap down loads or when they're sleeping, they're not making money. They're not salaried. They're not even paid by the hour. So there's a lot of pressure from the trucking companies to deliver and to be on the road. And the truck is a big responsibility. So I think it's hard to properly maintain and to put safety first when you have that kind of pressure. You're not getting paid unless you're driving on the road.
So I think, and they probably discussed this with you way more than I would understand it, but there are certain limits, I think, to how long they can be driving at one point in time and how much time off or sleep or rest or whatever they have to have. Did they discuss that kind of stuff with you?
Yes, they have to maintain logs. And a lot of times, because of the pressure, there are actually two sets of logs that are maintained. So the logs that are, truthful, and then the logs that are used for reporting. Because, if the drivers were truthful about the hours they were having to work, then they wouldn't be allowed on the road.
Right. So basically, it's when you say two logs, it kind of takes me back to maybe a Goodfellas kind of thing, where you have the book. One's a cookbook and one's a regular book. So if you had one thing you could tell drivers out there from your experience, and also of course from your point of view, your purview is completely different than theirs, what would that be?
Well, what I tell all my family and friends, like when you're in your car and you're out and you're on the highway, and for me too, this is what I do. If I need to get over a lane, I am not going to get in front of a truck. I'm just not. They're so heavy. They're harder to stop. There's just a lot that's going on inside of that cab. So I would never get in front of a tractor trailer. A lot of people don't like to be behind them or beside them. I wouldn't want to be in front of them. But you just really need to be careful. It's really heavy metal out there. Just, you don't want to get hit. So if you can be defensive and, hopefully the drivers are paying attention and they've gotten good rest and they're with a good company so they can be safe out on the road as well.
And I think, one of the things you mentioned was being with a good company, right? From your point of view as the attorney, obviously, if you're representing an individual who has been in a collision involving, one of these big trucks, it's probably easier to deal with a larger company. Obviously, you're actually dealing with your insurance companies, right? So these larger companies would probably be better represented when it comes to insurance. Is there anything you would say to anyone out there? This has nothing to do with the driving itself, but anyone out there who has been injured by a trucking accident, let's just say they're in the Atlanta area or in Georgia specifically, is there anything you'd like to say to them?
Yes. So if you're injured in a trucking accident, it's a lot different than a regular car accident. There's a lot more information that attorneys need to get from the trucking company. They need to send out what's called a spoliation letter, and you're basically asking the trucking company to save all the logs, all the video. A lot of times there's dash cam that's facing forward and backward that can see inside the cab, can see out on the road in front, and there's a lot of data that's being transferred that's held in the cloud that needs to be saved immediately. And then a lot of times there's a reconstruction that needs to be performed immediately. So there's just a lot more work that goes into a trucking case. So it's important to get an attorney immediately and an attorney that has knowledge in trucking cases specifically.
Well, Tanya, I want to thank you very much for being on the show today. And I want to thank everyone out there for tuning into this episode of 5 Minutes With. If you'd like to learn more about Natanya Brooks, first and foremost, Google her name and go to the videos. But secondly, you can obviously go to wecarelaw.com or right here at iwannabuzz.com. So thank you very much. Have an awesome day. Do something good for yourself and do something good for others.